1741, Cartagena de Indias, the Caribbean prize that decides empires. Cartagena wakes to salt air, tobacco, and silver. This port feeds the flow of American wealth to Europe, so its walls watch the sea like a clock. In London, that fortune already has a target. Night after night, sentries scan for hostile sails. The war has been brewing for years, smuggling, boardings, and a severed ear at sea inflamed Britain. Now, in the dark, one question hangs. When will the blow fall? On the hill, San Felipe de Barrage looms over the bay like a stone fist. It isn't just a fort, it's the last padlock before the city. If it breaks, Cartagena can be bombarded into submission. Behind closed doors, Blas de Lezo traces the map with cold composure. Missing an eye, an arm, and a leg, he still sees farther than most. His plan isn't a quick winnets to bleed the enemy day by day. While commanders argue, the real defense forms below. Militia, sailors, and neighbors take muskets and powder. Every weapon is a promise and a warning. This port won't be handed over without a fight, by hands that will hold the walls. At the first glint on the horizon, a lookout raises his spyglass. The sails are rent merchants. They come in formation. A white wall, moving closer. Before a cannon speaks, the city understands. The British fleet is here. In his cabin, Admiral Edward Vernon studies sea charts and approach routes. Cartagena is the trophy after Portobello, the blow that will shame Spain. But every line on the map is a wager against weather and time. The sea fills with masts, between 100 and nearly 200 ships with tens of thousands of men. Advance like an imperial machine. The advantage looks overwhelming, and Vernon trusts the math. The city must fall. But the Caribbean doesn't respect math. A squall snaps sails and decks, and another battle starts below. Fever, dysentery, scurvy. Before the first shot, the invading force is already losing men. Cohesion and patience, as officers argue over shrinking options. A narrow bay, two mouths, one corridor of iron. On March 13th, 1741, Cartagena wakes to a horizon packed with sails. To enter, the fleet must pass Bocachica, a tight channel, under crossfire. De Lezo knows it. Hold them here, and he buys the time he needs. Bells slice through the air as couriers sprint through the gates. Bastions man up, batteries find their angles. A city that traded yesterday now moves like a living fortress, ready to endure weeks, maybe months of pressure. Load the ships. Vernon convenes his officers to choose the first move. There's no unity. The Navy demands speed. The infantry urges caution. On paper it's small. In heat, mud, and fear, the crack widens fast. Under moonlight, anchors drop, and the water fills with shadows. Longboats glide out, loaded with redcoats and muffled orders. On shore, defenders hear oars and chains. The invasion has crossed from plan into reality, and every minute favors Cartagena. Soldiers climb down, packed tight, muskets between their knees. They don't see a beach, only the black line of mangroves. Vernon needs a rapid landing. De Lezo needs every yard to cost blood and strength. From San Felipe, Spanish gunners light their fuses and a cannon answers. The first salvo isn't just to sink, it's to declare the channel measured and expected. Every hit forces the fleet to maneuver slower, under constant pressure. The reply is a single rolling thunder. British ships throw open gun ports and fire broadsides, turning the water into smoke. It's brute force meant to break stone and morale, yet the channel narrows angles and multiplies danger. The fortress fires back, round after round, aimed at wooden hulls. The defenders lack numbers, but they own the position. Every splintered plank buys time and time is the currency De Lezo is hoarding. At night, torches flicker over the oars. British boats push forward, trying to fix a beachhead. On the shore, darkness favors Spain. They know every rock, every shadow, every muddy step the attackers must take. Jungle, trenches, and sickness. The war no map can show. The landing erupts at point-blank range. From dunes and palms, defenders stop the first waves. The British gain ground, but pay dearly. Every body on the sand is a small victory for a strategy built on attrition. In the mangroves, water climbs to the knees, and the air feels heavy. Night skirmishes, muzzle flashes, muffled screams. It's not a tidy battle. It's a fight to advance meters without losing formation, while the jungle charges interest. With rain and mud, redcoats march as if dragging an empire. Officers push, boots sink, fatigue spreads. Each day on land brings them closer to the rainy season and farther from the quick victory they promised. De Lezo walks the ramparts and meets his men's eyes. He can't stop them everywhere, so he builds layers, planned withdrawals, lighting batteries, sudden counterfire. His goal is simple: make victory so expensive it collapses before the rains arrive. British crews hauled heavy guns through mud, ropes taut, tempers fraying. Short on engineers, every can becomes a project. And the longer they take to emplace them, the more sickness eats the ranks meant to storm the city. Zigzag trenches grow shovel by shovel under the moon. They want to creep closer unseen, but tropical soil collapses and floods. For Cartagena, every night of digging is one less night of health for the invader. From cover, Spanish marksmen pick at the work lines. They don't need many kills, just heads down, pauses, doubt. Attrition is psychological too, and each flash in the dark breaks the rhythm of the CJ. Meanwhile, repair crews lift beams and plug breaches. There is no pause. What breaks by day is rebuilt by night. That discipline makes the city feel alive, and it ruins the British equation of breach, then surrender. Vernon watches the sky and runs out of patience. He knows fever is rising and rains are coming. Without a decisive battery, he makes a dangerous choice. Storm San Felipe head on, as if courage could replace engineering. San Felipe's hill, ladders, night, a near suicidal bet. Along the ditch around the fort, De Lezo checks the moat and resets positions. He wants attackers to climb, slip, and hang exposed. Defense isn't only firepower, it's terrain shaped to turn momentum into chaos. In the darkness, British columns form with rope-bound ladders. They rush to surprise, but the route isn't clean. One group drifts off, another arrives late. Coordination fractures right before the decisive moment, with dawn creeping closer. At the wall, the first men try to climb under musket fire. The stone is wet, hands shake, fear sticks to skin. The operation depended on silence. Now it depends on surviving the next seconds. Ladders slam against the wall and come up short. A small detail, massive consequences. Men hang exposed, unsupported. In that instant, Vernon's confidence flips to panic. The assault jams on its own tool, and casualties pile up fast. The defenders fire a synchronized volley, like a single heartbeat. The front rank drops, the rear trips over bodies and ladders. Each second adds confusion, and in confusion, numerical superiority stops mattering. The line collapses inward. At dawn, the city's guns join the inferno. Attackers are trapped between fort and walls, under crossfire from two directions. De Lezo's trap works. The hill becomes a funnel where retreat barely exists. Only loss, and the clock keeps ticking. On the rampart, distance collapses to inches. Sabres, musket stocks, pistol shouts lost in smoke. But defense has what assault lacks: firm footing and short lines. In close combat, the side that holds wins. Then comes the counter. Spaniards surge down, driving the British off their foothold. They don't need to chase far, only break the push. When momentum dies, the assault dies with it, and the hill stays Spanish. Survivors drag ladders away as the night fades. Of the 2,000 who landed, a brutal share want return. For Vernon, it's disastrous news. He spent men, and he didn't buy the fortress. Rain, fever, retreat, defeat without a surrender ceremony. The rains arrive, and the British camp turns to swamp. Tents drip, uniforms never dry, mosquitoes take command. Disease, already a problem, becomes a sentence. The dreamed victory rots in mud and sweat. Inside the hospital tents, medics change bandages without stopping. There are more cuts than medicine, more fever than hope. Here, the true enemy of 1741 shows itself. Not only Spanish guns, but the Caribbean, fighting for the defenders. In a tense council, commanders point to the sea and say the forbidden word: retreat. It isn't a formal surrender, but it's a brutal admission. Without health, time, or a breach, pressing on means dying for nothing. In the trenches, cannons lie half-buried, wheels broken, powder soaked. It's the physical trace of a campaign coming apart. What was meant to be a methodical siege ends as an orderly flight, leaving weeks of labor behind. Sails are set and anchors lifted. The fleet is still vast, but no longer invincible, wounded, thinned, exhausted. From the stone, De Lezo watches. knowing his currency time has bought the outcome and saved the city's trade against impossible odds. As they withdraw, one ship fires a last broadside, more pride than tactic. Smoke stretches over the water like a bitter signature. It's the sound of ambition sailing away, unable to accept that Cartagena held. The fortress answers with a final salvo, not to chase, but to close the story. The guns say, enough. In that iron farewell, Cartagena confirms it still stands, and the invader leaves empty-handed, to the world watching. On the walls, lookouts cheer as the sails shrink to dots. There's no naive euphoria, only relief, exhaustion, quiet pride. They have stopped one of the greatest naval expeditions of their era, at a staggering human cost. Days later, the bay calms again beneath the cross of Burgundy. Vernon sails away on May 8, leaving thousands of casualties behind. Blas de Lezo, the half-man, dies soon after, but his victory becomes legend.